What's up everybody, this is Dmitry, and actually I need to get on a plane in less than 12 hours, but at the same time I didn't want to leave you without a video this week, so we have some work to do. So today I want to share something that I've learned through my personal experience. This is actually how I edit my photos. So I want to share you the process that I've created, which is a very streamlined and very easy to understand how you start with a photo and how you gradually make it better and better. And yes, I am not a professional photographer, I am not a professional editor, but I love taking photos and I love editing them. Here are some photos that I've done. You can see them somewhere on the screen that I've done and edited myself. If you do like them, well, you are in the right place and I will tell you exactly how I've made them. If you didn't, that's totally fine. I'm totally okay for you to stop this video and go and do whatever you're gonna do. Seriously, no offense. So in order for me to show you how I edit my photos, we need to teleport to my desktop. To do that, I will use a magical wand. Actually, we just got it from Warner Bros. Studio in London. It's pretty cool. Harry Potter fans? Anyone? Let me know in the comments. Right, so before we start editing, we need to pick the software where we're gonna be editing. So I'm gonna be using Lightroom. So I'm gonna be showing you the tools within the Lightroom. If you're gonna pick another tool, you're obviously gonna need to find your own shortcuts and keys and settings, but the terminology is gonna be the same. So don't worry if you're not using Lightroom, if you're using something else, you will still be able to apply the same functionality, the same process as I will show you in the Lightroom. So here we are in the Lightroom, and the first thing you need to do is obviously pick a photo. So I've picked a couple of photos from our trip in Portugal, and actually let's work with this photo. I actually like it. So the first thing I do is I ask myself, okay, what do I want to tell in this photo? So in this photo, I can obviously see this cathedral and it's really beautiful. I love the colors, I love the lighting, beautiful, love the shadows. But what I also see on this photo is actually, there's this hotel here. And it definitely doesn't add any value to this picture. So the first thing we do is we actually crop the image. Therefore, I would highly suggest using a high megapixel camera. The more megapixel you have, the more opportunity you have to zoom in and actually crop the picture without losing the quality a lot. I was shooting this on a Sony a7 IV. It has pretty good amount of megapixels, so it gives me an opportunity to zoom in. So I will use the Instagram aspect, which is 4:5, and I'm just gonna pick just enough. I don't want to have these arcs in the picture, so I'm just gonna pick where the new ones start, the new section starts. I also use this stage to do the horizon leveling. I'm not sure you need to make big changes here, maybe just a tiny bit, but yeah, generally it looks okay. So we're just gonna leave it like this. I'm gonna make sure that the cathedral is in the center, in the middle, so that the whole focus goes on it, and we click done. Good, as you can see, the cathedral is there. We haven't lost the quality. If I zoom in, I have all these details, pretty sharp, good. Now is gonna be the controversial part. So, but give me a moment, let me explain. So, we're actually gonna make things worse to make things better. So what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna make this picture, this image, more flat, more boring. Why? You will see a little bit later. In order to make it more flat, and what I mean by flat is actually to reduce the contrast, and by reducing the contrast, we're actually adding more information and more details to the picture. How to do that? Well, we need to play with highlights and shadows. So what does these two things do? If we look at the most highlighted areas, probably this is this area where the spotlights are, and we start putting the highlights down. So if we would put it up, it would actually make them even lighter. So we would lose even more information. But if we put it lower, then actually we get more information. We get more details about the texture of the building, of the walls, and that's what we want. So next are shadows. So we go somewhere here, for example, and we can see that this area is very dark. We can't see anything. But if we pull the shadows up, actually look at that. You can see more rocks here. You can see more details, more information. But be careful, because the more you pull these details, the more noise you're gonna bring up as well. So make sure you find the right balance between adding more details to your photo and not getting too much noise. So I wouldn't go to the top numbers. I would find just the right balance where I can still get more information so that it's not pure black, but I don't bring up too much noise. And that's what we got. So we got more information from the highlighted areas, and now we can see more rocks in here. So let's look at before and after now. So we can clearly see we have more information here. So here it was much darker. We also get more information here from the rocks. We can get more information from the walls, which is nice, which is exactly, yes, it is a little bit more boring because the contrast is what makes things better. Go and check out my video if you want to learn more about the contrast on my channel. But we'll get to the contrast a little bit later. So now we got our flatter image. What we can do now, to make things simple, we can apply a preset. That's it. So let's go and, for example, pick the cinematic. I love cinematic looks, and pick like this, for example. Look at that. Wow, I probably don't even need to change anything. Maybe a couple of things just to make it not too loud like this, but I already love this. I love the cinematic look by bringing up the blue colors. I love the contrast we have created through mixing this orange light and blue scene. Beautiful. I absolutely love it. But this video would be too easy if I would just say go and apply a preset. I want to actually explain you how to do this without presets. So let's not do that. Going back to our original photos. So now we need to go to our HSL and color. HSL and color area section allows us to make changes to colors. So for example, in the hue, we can actually change the color tone. So for example, we see a lot of orange here, and we want to change the color of it, and we can move the slider to the left, and wow, I mean, if that's your preference, you can go with it. I am not judging you, seriously. It actually looks pretty cool. I wouldn't expect this light on a cathedral, but why not? 2022, right? Okay, let's go back, but you get the point, right? So for example, with the blue, we can make the sky more aqua or more purple. If you don't know which color to pick, you can actually use this tool here. Click on it, pick the color you want to change, like the orange here, and you can start dragging mouse. So as you can see, we are actually not changing only the orange, but also changing the red a little bit. So the software is actually smart enough to distinguish which exactly colors are mixed to create that part of the photo. So what I would change, I would actually probably make the orange a little bit redder. I would also make the yellow tones a little bit to the orange side, just so that we pop the orange a little bit more. I will probably make the aqua areas, if there are any, to more on a bluish side, just so that we add more blue here. And that's really it. I would probably leave it like this because I love it already. Now we can go to saturation and do the same thing with all the colors in terms of saturation. So we can oversaturate the color or desaturate. So if you would want to make it completely black and white and orange, you could basically just remove all these colors. And there you go. Again, stylish. that's not really what I would want to get out of this photo. I would just probably just make the orange a little bit more saturated, and maybe just remove the greens, because there are some greens here. I don't want them to disturb the observer of this photo. So I'm gonna remove the purples, the magentas, and just leave the blue and orange. That's what I want to really show here. You can do the same thing with luminance, so you can basically lighten colors up. So, you know, if you do like this, you can see it just lightens up as if someone has put the power on to 500%. Or you can make them darker. So in this specific case, I could maybe actually go with a bit darker sky, just so that we get this cathedral popping out. So now, after we've done these changes to colors, we can go to actual color grading. What color grading does, it allows you to make changes to the shadows, to highlights, and to midtones. So be careful to make massive changes to midtones whenever you're editing a photo with people in it, because midtones are usually where your skin tone is. So you can basically turn yourself into aliens. I would not recommend doing that, unless that's what you want to do. So I would probably play with shadows and highlights. So again, I love the cinematic look, so I would actually probably try and move both to a bit like a bluish side. Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah, that's amazing. Love that. So it kind of created this nice contrast as that preset has done. So basically we've kind of replicated that preset now. So I actually love it. So now we can add a little bit of contrast. So, you know, adding contrast here, which will basically do what we have done with the highlights and shadows, but it will now add like a layer on top. So now we've done all the changes, and to be honest, like, I love the way it looks like. The only thing now is just to make small changes. So for example, this bird, why do we need it here? Probably we need to remove it. Maybe we can remove some people around just so that they don't distract. Like this chap is definitely making some nice photo from that area. And yeah, that's it. So in order to do that, I would not use Lightroom, I would use Photoshop. So in order to do that, you go to Photo, Edit in Photoshop. So there you go. Now we have Photoshop open, so we can play with it here, and it is gonna automatically get applied to the Lightroom. So in order to remove items on your layer, what you're gonna do is you're gonna zoom in, and you are just gonna use the lasso tool. You're gonna pick the object, right click using your mouse, and you're gonna pick content aware fill. Now it will ask you to use the brush and pick the area that it should use to actually distinguish what kind of objects or details to add to that spot in order to make it organic. So this one is easy, so we're just picking some sky, and there you go. So it will basically remove the item. This is very easy. So what we need to do now is to remove people. This could be a little bit more challenging, but I mean, Photoshop is doing an amazing job. So we're picking a person that we want to delete. We right click, content aware fill, again, sampling area. So we're just gonna use this just so that it understands that there are these barriers. And let's see what we've got. Okay, that's not the best. Okay, so we can actually use this. We can play with the rotation adaptation, make it high, there you go. And you can do higher color adaptation as well. So you can play with the settings here, and you will get actually a really good result. So, I mean, you can see it's not the straightest line here. You could potentially play with it, but hey, don't forget that we have actually zoomed in a lot, so you'll probably not even notice anything here. Cool. Yep. Okay, looking good. Now we don't have any people here. We have very clean photo. We don't have a half of the bird in the corner. We have some nice birds here. I don't want to remove them because I think they look great. And that's the photo. So we save it, we do save it. And there you go. So we go back to the Lightroom and all the changes have been applied. We don't see the object, so we can make any additional changes that we want. So in this case, I would just probably make the, just a bit too much, maybe 0.1, just to make it a little bit lighter. And at the same time, I'd probably add some contrast. There you go. So this is the photo that I would leave and I would post on my Instagram, and I would be super happy with it. So just to reiterate, what is my process? First, I crop. I ask myself, what are the details I really want to show on this picture, and I crop everything else out, just so that you don't distract the viewer. Secondly, I fix the horizon if that's necessary. After that, I make things worse to make things better. So I reduce the highlights, I up the shadows, just so that we get more details from the photo. Then I apply the color grading and make some necessary changes just to add the style I really want to the atmosphere, the emotions that I want to the picture. And then I make some cosmetic changes using Photoshop if needed. And that's really it. This is a very simple process that will guarantee you that you're not gonna mess things up, like for example applying preset to a completely broken image, which will make things even worse. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please click that like button. I would really appreciate it. It's gonna make a massive difference for me. If you want to learn more about what exposure means, what highlights mean, what shadows mean, subscribe to my channel, because actually I am now shooting a huge amount of videos that will explain the photography from the basics. We're gonna dive deep into ISO, aperture, shutter speed, exposure, lighting, all the necessary things that you need to know to make your images look better. So if that's something you're interested in, do subscribe to my channel and let me know in the comments what would be the first thing you would want to learn about photography. And as always, I will see you in the next video. See ya. Okay, so now I have 2 hours to edit this video, and then I have 30 minutes to actually pack my things, and then yeah, I should be heading to airport. Good luck to me. I need an energy drink.